Hello! Today's story will both improve your English and inspire you to follow your dreams.
My name is Emma. I was born in a town by the sea. I grew up here and I have almost never left. I used to wake up early in the mornings. I opened my eyes a few minutes before the alarm rang. I stood by the window and looked at the weather. Then I made my coffee and prepared a simple breakfast. I left the house at the same hours and walked the same streets. People knew me. I greeted everyone and talked with them. I had a regular job and a regular income. A safe life was something many people looked for and could not find, but it did not stop the emptiness I carried inside me. It had been like this for a long time. I could not remember when it started. It just felt like it had always been with me. After work, I sometimes walked by the sea and tried to fill this emptiness. They were not long walks, but they made the emptiness lighter. I walked to the shore, touched the stones with the tips of my shoes, and then turned back. One day I left work early. The air was cold, there was wind. I did not want to go home. My steps took me to the street where the old second-hand bookshop was. That shop had been there for years. Most people did not notice it, but I used to go there often when I was a child. When I went inside, it felt like time slowed down. That day was the same. The shelves were old and the books were dusty. The silence was not uncomfortable, it was calm. Just as I was about to leave, I saw a book on the floor. It looked like it belonged to no one. It was brown with worn corners and a slightly damaged cover. I bent down and picked it up. There were no neat writings inside. There were short notes, thoughts, and unfinished sentences. I stopped on one page. It said, "Sometimes life stops you, but that does not mean you should give up." I read that sentence several times. I felt a familiar ache in my heart. I remembered the emptiness inside me again. That was why I could not put the book back in its place. I bought it. I put it in my bag and left. That evening I walked by the sea, this time longer. I took off my shoes. The stones were cold. The sea was dark and calm. I opened the book. I could not read in the dark, but it felt like a voice was whispering something to me that I could not understand. When I got home, I left the book on the table. I did something I had not done for a long time. I thought about the past. When I was a student, I used to bake cakes, cookies, cakes, small desserts. I learned some recipes from my mother. I got some from neighbors and people I knew. I always added my own ideas to the recipes. I changed the ingredients. I adapted every recipe to myself. Sometimes my mother stood at the kitchen door and watched me. She said, "You should open a shop." She was right. I knew the texture of the dough. I felt when the sugar was enough. People liked what I made. But my mother got sick. Suddenly, everything became fast. Hospitals, medicines, expenses. Dreams became a luxury. I needed a job immediately. Safe, regular, guaranteed. Cakes and cookies could wait, and I made them wait. First months passed, then years. At the end of all that time, I had lost both my mother and my dreams. The book was on the table. I did not touch it for days. I was afraid. I was afraid to dream, because disappointment was familiar. Hope was tiring. One evening, I found the courage to open the book. On another page, I read this: "You do not feel ready before you start. You feel ready after you begin." That sentence disturbed me, but at the same time, it lit a light inside me. The next day, I baked a cake. Then I baked another one. I gave them to my friends. "I'm just trying," I said. But something inside me was becoming serious. Every new sentence I read in the book pushed me a little further. The fear did not disappear. The hopelessness did not either. But now I had a direction. I kept making cookies and cakes and giving them to people. I asked for their opinions. I wanted to know which ones they liked and which ones they did not like. One day, while walking by the sea, I saw a run-down shop. Its windows were dirty. Its door was old. But I stopped. I looked inside. It was small and quiet. Something inside me said, "Here." With a sudden decision, I rented the shop. I quit my job. My friends did not support this decision very much, but they liked the cookies I made. Now I had a shop. In the first days, I cleaned for hours. Dust, old shelves, broken tiles. I got tired. I wanted to give up. But the book was with me. I read one more sentence. "Small steps are the only way to real change." I painted the walls. I placed the shelves. I bought a small oven that would be enough for now. I prepared a counter where I could knead my dough. Weeks passed. My hands and arms hurt, but going there every day kept me connected to life. Finally, I hung a small sign on the door: Emma's Bakery. On the first day, my friends came for the opening. The next day, I sold 1 cake and 3 cookies. The person who bought the cake smiled. The person who bought the cookies said, "I will come again." For a few weeks, I did not have many customers, but as days passed, everyone heard that I had opened a new shop. Everyone who heard about it started to come to the shop. As days passed, my work increased. In those moments, I felt the emptiness inside me slowly disappear. I finally reached the happiness I had delayed and given up. The emptiness slowly turned into peace. Life had stopped me for a while, but now it was time to move forward. The book is still with me. It is now my companion.
Thank you for listening to this story. Remember, learning a language takes time, just like following a dream. You can listen again, repeat the sentences, and take notes. Every small step helps you improve your English. Relax, keep practicing, and don't stop believing in yourself.